My name's Fiona Peart and I'd like to show you how I like to paint figures in watercolour. They can be really simple if you just think of little shapes rather than the figure as a whole. So I've got my little outline drawing, which I tend to use a propelling pencil. It gives me a lovely sharp, crisp outline. It's just my preferred method. Then I use one of these soft putty erasers. They should be very, very soft, and I'm just going to lift some of the lines so that they're not quite as evident. Now, obviously you don't need to do this if you sketch in a very light way. Now, the eraser I use is a grey colour. It's like that when you buy it, and it should be nice and soft like this, so that you literally are just lifting a little of the pencil. So I'm going to start off by mixing a little bit of burnt sienna. I've got a little bit of burnt sienna on my tile, a little bit of water. I'm using a round brush, traditional round brush, a nice soft brush. It's my classic. So into the burnt sienna, a little bit of cobalt. So we're going to tone that down, scoop the colour in, and then we're going to start with her face. So we don't need any features, little ears, just two little ears. And you can see I'm working fairly wet because I want each of these shapes to link up. So we've got her neck there. She's got a little top on, so I'm just going to clean my brush out. Not all of the colours come out, so there's a little bit of that colour still in my brush. So it's not a completely clean brush. That way the cobalt blue changes and it's a little bit more of a subtle colour. I'm going to put a little top. She's got this little top here. Now it'll just catch, just where it catches it'll run. Nice, we have a little collar there, that's quite nice. We'll put a hat on in a minute. So let's have a little bit of indigo. This is a really dark colour. And this is going to run a little into the face. It will do, I know it's going to do it. So I'm going to be ever so careful. I'm using what's called an inverted brush to come around the side of the little figure. I don't want to wait until her head has dried. I actually want it to catch so it looks like she's wearing that hat. It's really important for me that it looks like it's on her head and not stuck on the top of a pole or something. It needs to merge in, so this is going to work really nicely. Now her coat, let's give her a lovely sort of burgundy coloured coat. So we'll put, I've got a lovely, this is nice, that is a lovely colour. Actually this is my favourite colour, this bluebell colour. So if I use some bluebell with a little bit of permanent rose, oh, that's a nice colour. Right, so here we go. Oh, that's a nice colour, look. I might let that touch in a minute. So just let the brush just come near to the shape, and when you're ready, just let it catch. Now, there's her sleeves, so I wiggle the brush a little bit where her sleeves are. It gives a little bit of movement. I'm going to darken that, so I'm just going to scoop into the indigo. Just darken that, just tap a little bit onto there. That's nice. The front of her coat here. And then we're just going to let that touch, let the point of the brush just catch. Come down the other side. A little wiggle with the brush, and you can see I'm not actually worried if I go over the line a little bit. If my pencil line escapes, I'm not going to worry about it. It's there as a guide, and I try not to have a solid outline. You can see it kind of wiggles a little bit. It gives a little bit of movement. So there's her coat. She's got a bit of dark on there. I like the little bits of white that are left. That's good. So we'll just put her hands on, and then she's got a little bag. So let's just, while we've got the colour on our brush, let's give her a dark bag. The key with this is it must be wet. If you let these areas dry, it's a bit late. So into our burnt sienna again. So her hands, she would probably wear gloves in the winter, but we'll just put this nice burnt sienna colour in, and it is going to run into the coat, or the coat will run in. Let's just catch it a little bit. That's good. And a little bit here. I like that. So that just links through nicely. Right, her trousers. Let's do those a little bit of a lighter colour. So we'll get our burnt sienna again. A little bit dilute, and I want to get this on before this dries. So just let it catch. That's great. I don't want that to dry. I want it to link. There's her feet, a little bit of movement, zigzag with a brush. Okay. Into the indigo again for her shoes. Now this little foot, it's a sideways, so I just do a little stroke like that. This one is coming towards us, so that's a little bit of a flatter shape. Just going to take that up and into the trousers so it's linked. And that's it. Our first little figure done. Nice and simple. So that's a figure on their own, a solitary person. So what I'm now going to do is two little figures together, and I'm going to link them and let them touch. Let's do a raw sienna, a little bit of raw sienna for her hair, and I think a little bit of ochre. So we've got a nice warm colour there. We're going to drop in some blue into this. So we'll start off with her hair. Obviously you can use any colours you like. Just with the point of the brush, just nice little shape there. Okay, I like that. A deep colour, like a permanent wild rose, so that's a nice strong colour. Now this is going to look a little bit bright, so I'm going to change it when I've put it on the paper. So once I get to there, you can see that colour is so similar to the other, you're not going to have any difference between the two. So I'm going to put a little bit, of bluebell into that to darken it. Just let it catch the hair, just let it touch a little. Yes, it is going to run in, that's okay. This is her arm here, a little bit more. So the shapes are nice and wet. And a little bit of burnt sienna for his face. So he's got his little ear, front of his face. Now the important thing is his nose. We'll just put a little bit of just a little bit there, just so he's got a nose. And he's got hands here, which we're going to link that whole section up. His hair, dark hair. Let's go into a little bit of indigo. So it's quite dark, quite different from her. So we'll just let the brush just catch there. Okay, quite like that. Now, nice dark shirt. Let's have something like a blue. You see how these colours are just merging nice and soft. That little bit of bluebell just changed that nicely. Now, as soon as I start to bring this in, and there's a little bit of the burnt sienna in my brush, that's why it's a little bit of a charcoaly colour. It'll suddenly look much bluer. That's better. We want his arm just to catch. He's got to link up with his hand. I want that to run a little bit. Perfect. We want it to run. A little bit of a zigzag there. A little bit. This is his other arm, so we want a little gap. Let's have a little bit of a collar. Let's link that up. We'll just push that up a little bit so it's a higher neck. So we're just going to let that link with that nice colour there. There's a bag in the front here, like a rucksack or something. They're obviously out for the day. There's her jeans. So that's linked through, so just in time. That's nice. Now there's her shoe there and there's his shoe there. Let's give him some dark jeans. So it's it's just each little section. Leave a little gap until you're ready and then just let it catch. You can leave a little tiny gap, that's great. Happy with that. Then up to here, he's resting on his knees, so that can link in. We'll just let all the colours touch. Now, I want that to connect. While I've got that dark colour, I'll put her shoe there, so it's the underside of her shoe. This is other leg here. This is quite dark, this is good. Now, to get into here, if I just use the brush that way, can't see where I'm going, so I'm going to use what's called an inverted brush, just to push the brush down there and pull the paint back up. That way I'm in control of where the brush is going. Right, clean the brush out. And let's put his shoes. There's his shoe, and that's going to tuck in behind her. And then there's a bag in the front, kind of a buff brown colour. So out with their rucksack. So it's like a nice brown bag here. Make that a little bit bigger. Put a little bit of a dark colour on that as well. And then I'm going to put a shadow underneath them, because at the moment they're kind of floating. And we'll have him, it's going to touch him, so he's actually linked to this little shadow. I like that, that's nice. Then there's the bag. And maybe a little bit of her, just put that in there. So there we are. Two little figures.